Vault Hunters, legendary loot abounds in Borderlands 4, and while you've no doubt stumbled across a few pieces yourself, there's more out there just waiting to be found. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and here are 10 legendary items you need to find in Borderlands 4. So here's the deal. We know there are some hardcore looter-shooter fans out there, which is why we're putting all 10 legendaries in this video on the screen right now. Let's be honest, the information you guys find around the internet, well, it's not great. So our goal is to make the most comprehensive weapon guides we can so that you can find items that will actually impact your gameplay. Everything in this video can be found in the Fade Fields, which is the first major zone in the game, meaning you can technically farm for any of these items within the first couple hours of playing Borderlands 4. Borderlands has always been known for their wacky guns, which is why I wanted to start with Husky Friend, one of the coolest guns I've seen in the game to this point. Here's the thing, you'll need to farm Primordial Guardian and Septus if you want to get your hands on this weapon, which isn't impossible early on, I want to make that clear, but it's challenging. We have an entire video breaking down the Primordial Guardian, so check that out for everything you need to know. The quick version is this. You'll need to activate all 3 order silos in the Fade Fields. That will reveal 3 search zones for vault fragment pieces. Collecting those 3 fragments will reveal the search zone for the vault, which is up here on the hilltop. Enter the vault, fight through 3 waves of enemies, and then you're able to start farming in Septus. Husky Friend is a Tediore shotgun that shoots out multiple projectiles in a standard shotgun pattern. The model I have just so happens to have Torg licensed parts that make the projectiles explode on impact. As you can see, this one deals 448 damage times 10 rounds, has 63% accuracy, a 2-second reload time, a fire rate of 1.3 rounds per second, and a 6-round magazine. All in all, a nice, well-rounded shotgun. Where it gets interesting is with the unique perk, Husky Auto Turret, which adds an alternate fire mode to the gun called Husky Backup. When used, you summon a small mobile rocket turret that fires at your current target. The turret lasts around 30 seconds, and the cooldown is actually a few seconds shorter than that, so as long as you remember to call in a fresh turret, you can keep these active during the duration of an encounter. You can also swap weapons after the turret's been deployed, allowing you to utilize the turret even if you're not actively wanting to use the weapon. I really like the idea of this gun, and if you can somehow build around the turret, I think there's something interesting brewing here. The shotgun itself is solid, a nice all-around weapon that I think a lot of gun-focused players will really enjoy, but its uniqueness is why it gets a spotlight in this video. If you're looking for an assault rifle that taps into both incendiary and cryo damage, look no further than Aegon's Dream, a potent weapon that can carry you throughout the rest of Borderlands 4. To get this, you'll need to farm Horus, which is one of the first story bosses you fight after meeting the Outbounders. He's located just northeast of the launch pad at Horus's oversight, and this will most likely be the first major point of interest that you work through. It's a doozy with dozens of order soldiers, but like I said, it's part of the main story quest, so you'll be coming here regardless. The boss you'll be fighting is Horus, a floating order soldier that fires off magic projectiles at you while remaining airborne for the duration of the fight. Horus has a blue health bar first and then a red health bar, so plan your weapons accordingly and get farming. Eventually you'll find Aegon's Dream, which I'd argue is one of the best early game assault rifles you can get in the game and can easily carry you through the entire main story. It's a Vladoff, which means it's going to have an insane fire rate, but across the board the stats are there. At first glance, you'll notice the weapon has the incendiary element, but if we jump down to the unique perk, we'll see Aegon's Dream has something called Prophetic, which doesn't have a description. After some trial and error, we were able to determine that Prophetic actually makes it so that every round fired from the gun alternates between incendiary and cryo damage, giving you a really interesting 1-2 punch that will perform well against red and yellow health bars. This can be quite potent as a progression weapon since you'll run into loads of enemies with those 2 health bars across the Ripper and Order factions. Depending on how the weapon rolls, you could also see licensed parts which add other dimensions to the gun, like you see on the screen here. Because Horus is one of the earlier easy bosses, it's pretty painless farming for Aegon's Dream, and personally, I think the weapon is worth the effort. Moving fast and striking hard has been a huge part of the Borderlands 4 identity, which is why I think the Sho Kunai, a legendary Jacob's throwing knife ordnance, could be the perfect fit in the right movement-based build. This legendary drops from Bio Bulkhead, a boss with a segmented yellow health bar that you'll fight during the main story quest, One Fell Swoop. During the encounter, you'll need to grapple and throw the Locust Toxin at the Bio Bulkhead in order to make it vulnerable to damage, and you'll have to repeat that multiple times throughout the fight. Do that enough times in conjunction with some damage, and it'll crumble, and with a bit of luck, you'll be the proud owner of a new legendary throwing knife. As you can see with my level 50 version, this has a cooldown of 12 seconds, deals close to 3,000 damage per hit, and has 7 charges. Its unique perk, Ninja Speed, grants you a plus 10% movement speed increase for 10 seconds, stacking up to 7 times. Every time you hit with a knife, the 10-second timer resets, so you can keep the buff active for a decent stretch of time. This is really straightforward. If you want an ordnance that increases your movement speed for whatever reason, this is the weapon for you. And while throwing knives are precision, I can see some people really leaning into this, either in some sort of weird speed build or as the finishing piece to a build that emphasizes speed above all else. It's certainly not the most powerful weapon in the game, but it's unique, and for that, it makes the list. Finding the right legendary shield can really pull a build together, and there's an early option I think a lot of players might end up gravitating to. Fireworks is a legendary Torg armor shield, and it can be found from Splash Zone, the boss at Riptide Grotto near the very start of the game. He has 1 red health bar, which makes him easy to farm, and I wanted to include this because finding a good shield can make progression way more enjoyable, and you'd be surprised at how good Fireworks actually is. You'll encounter Splash Zone as part of the very first full-length quest on Kairos Recruitment Drive, and once you defeat him the first time, you'll have access to Moxie's big Encore system, which will let you farm him from that point on. He's got a decent loot pool, so an hour of farming might end up going a long way here. As you can see with my level 50 Fireworks, this shield has a capacity of almost 11,000, 3 armor segments, and reduces damage taken by 26%. Its unique effect, which is really the special sauce here, is called Bundle. On kill, a missile spawns that homes in on a nearby enemy, dealing, in this case, around 7,500 damage. Think about that for a second. Come here. That's 1 missile homing in on an enemy target after every kill. That is a lot of firepower. In the case of my shield, the missiles deal cryo damage, but there are other variations out there, so you can farm for the element that you want. You'll also find Fireworks with a number of affixes. In my case, Barrage, which adds the Missile Swarm perk, launching 3 missiles whenever an armor segment breaks, and Stoic, which grants me a 5% chance to increase my damage reduction by 20% for 5 seconds whenever I hit an enemy. This is flat out a fantastic shield option that can work well in numerous builds, making it well worth the effort to farm. If you're looking to check out one of the most unique guns in Borderlands 4, look no further than the Noisy Cricket, a legendary order weapon. This gun drops from Sydney Pointy Legs, which you can find at the Prospects Ripper Drill site northeast of the Outbounders faction hub, the Launchpad. In order to fight the boss, you'll need to clear out multiple waves of Rippers before Pointy Legs joins the fight, which could be a challenge for some. That being said, I found that all of these Ripper Drill site bosses have some really solid loot pools, which is why I wanted to highlight at least one. Sydney Pointy Legs has a blue, yellow, and then red health bar, which does make it a slightly more difficult boss, especially early on, but I think you'll understand why we want to take that challenge head on. The Noisy Cricket on paper is nuts, but also very confusing. As you can see with my level 50 version, it deals close to 6,000 damage per shot, has a 57% accuracy rating, takes 1.2 seconds to reload, fires 3 rounds a second, and has an ammo capacity of 2. It also boasts 38% crit damage, a 400 centimeter splash radius, and costs 2 rounds per shot. Its unique perk, Silence, also doesn't have a tooltip, but once you actually fire this weapon, you can kind of figure out what it's all about. See, on paper, this weapon makes no sense, but when you take it to a firing range and pull the trigger, it all comes together. This weapon fires a massive cylindrical AoE projectile that's more like a sound wave than anything else. It hits every enemy in that huge radius and deals that almost 6,000 damage to everything it hits, making it a fantastic weapon. Now, I am no build expert, but I have to imagine there's a lot you can do with a weapon of this caliber, and with the right skills, this could be the centerpiece of any number of truly awesome builds. One of the best sniper rifles we've come across in Borderlands 4 is the Stopgap. You can farm this weapon from Backhive, a boss located in the Claim, an abandoned auger mine you most likely skipped during your initial progression through Zadra's backup plan. This point of interest is actually right next to that fast travel station, making it easily accessible. This mine is unique in that you have to navigate through a maze of climbing walls, all suspended over toxic water below, but once you reach the end, you'll come face to face with Backhive, a massive wild horn that can periodically summon exploding enemies from holes on its back. The Backhive has just a single red health bar, but it's got a ton of health, so plan accordingly. Eventually, and with some luck, you'll receive the Stopgap, a legendary Vladof sniper rifle that, in my opinion, can carry you through the rest of the game. As you can see with my level 50 version, the weapon deals around 1300 damage per shot, has an 88% accuracy rating, takes 2.7 seconds to reload, can fire 4.4 rounds a second, more on this shortly, and has an ammo capacity of 24. It also boasts plus 50% damage on crit. Its unique perk, Reconfigure, reduces the weapon's fire rate down to 20% while firing, but increases the damage up to 750%. Now that's hard to visualize on paper, but when you put it into practice, it's really straightforward. As you hold down the trigger, the weapon slows down, which results in a more methodical firing rate. At the same time, the damage ramps up, so while you lose the ability to fire quickly, something we really don't care about on a sniper, our damage ends up skyrocketing. This is a very powerful weapon, and in the hands of a Vault Hunter that can really lean into a sniper or gun damage build, you're looking at the new centerpiece of your loadout. If you're looking for a powerful submachine gun, then check out the Vladof weapon Onslaught. This has the potential to be a really powerful weapon in any loadout, mainly because there's a variety of ways it can roll. Here's the catch: to farm for Onslaught, you need to have access to Idolator Soul, the first major story boss. Now, I still consider this early game, as it's not even a third of the way into Borderlands 4, but it does still require you to progress through the main story. Idolator Soul is actually one of my favorite fights in the game, and to defeat him, you need to use the Locust Toxin that he spawns periodically throughout the fight. Throw those anywhere on his body, and the impenetrable army melts away, exposing his flesh underneath. Once he's been exposed, Soul has 3 red health bars, so plan your loadout accordingly. My version, the mass-produced Totalitarian Onslaught, does around 400 damage, has 68% accuracy, takes 3.9 seconds to reload, has a fire rate of 16 rounds a second, and takes 65 shots to overheat. The gun also does 33% increased damage on critical hits, and this version just so happens to be cryo, but it can roll with other elemental effects. The unique perk, Keep It Coming, is where the gun really gets interesting. When fired, there's a 30% chance for every bullet to deal extra damage and not consume ammo. Now, in the case of my gun, it also has a COV licensed part, so it uses the overheat mechanic, but that's not always the case. Either way, there's just a little less than 1/3 of a chance you get a slight bump in weapon damage and refund the round, so you statistically can extend the magazine by around 3 to 4 rounds. Combined with ammo regen modifiers from gear and skills, you could perceivably build around this in a number of really interesting and possibly efficient ways, and if the elemental effect plays into your build, it could be a solid niche weapon that you could use for an extended period of time. When it comes to sniper rifles, there's something really special about Asher's Rise, a Maliwan weapon that embraces the status damage identity of the manufacturer. To find this weapon, you'll need to defeat the Oppressor, a boss you might remember from the Unlock the Process main story quest. This will take you back to the far southeast side of the Fade Fields and the Killing Floor's point of interest. The Oppressor is a flying boss that touts a blue health bar and a yellow health bar, and remember, it stays in the air the entire encounter, so plan accordingly. After some attempts, you'll hit the jackpot and claim Asher's Rise. As you can see, my level 50 version does close to 1800 damage a shot, has a 91% accuracy rating, takes 2.1 seconds to reload, and fires 6.6 rounds per second with a magazine capacity of 10. It also deals plus 67% on critical hits and has a small 20cm splash radius. The weapon also deals corrosive or radiation damage, and because it's a Maliwan gun, you can swap this at will. What's more interesting is its unique perk, Slow Burn. When you land a critical hit with this weapon, it applies the active status effect, foregoing the additional impact damage, that 67% I mentioned before. This is really fascinating if you're trying to flesh out a status build, and while it probably wouldn't be your primary gun, I can see it playing an important role in an overall build. If you prefer heavy weapons over grenades, then you might be interested in Ravenfire, a Torg launcher that touts some seriously high ordnance damage. To find this, you'll need to farm Primordial Guardian Inceptus. We talked about this boss before, so refer to our Ultimate Vault Guide, or rewind to the Husky Friend section again to see how we unlock this vault. So just so you know, Inceptus and all of the Vault Guardians have a much larger loot pool than the standard bosses in the game, and they contain everything from weapons to class mods, so consider farming them for just a beat longer if you're on the hunt for your next legendary piece of gear. Now the Ravenfire is pretty straightforward, and as you can see with my level 50 version, it deals around 2300 damage in a 239 centimeter splash radius, has a 61% accuracy rating, fires 2 rounds a second, has a magazine capacity of 4, and takes 49 seconds to recharge. Now the key is that you can drastically reduce that recharge time with the right gear, or even extend how many shots you can take with the weapon before it goes on cooldown, but that's all build dependent. Its unique perk 621 causes explosions to radiate outward from the point of impact, making this a fascinating weapon to use while clearing packs of mobs, or even dealing damage to larger bosses who might end up getting hit by multiple explosions. It's a powerful ordnance to have at your disposal, and one of the best early game options with a heat-seeking effect that you can scoop up if you're just starting out on your Borderlands 4 adventure. I wanted to make sure you guys knew where to find arguably the best rep kit in Borderlands 4. This is the Triple Bypass, an order piece of gear that touts one of the best perks I have seen so far. To get this weapon, you'll need to farm Backhive. As we already discussed, this is a boss located in the Claim, which is an abandoned auger mine right next to Zadra's backup plan on the east side of the map. As you can see from my level 50 version, this rep kit heals for around 5000 HP instantly, with another 5000 HP rolling in over the next 10 seconds, thanks to the Mega Affix, which I have found multiple times on this item. It does have a relatively long cooldown at 32 seconds, but it's the unique perk that makes it so special. Heart Pump gives the rep kit 3 charges, and on kill has a 30% chance to replenish a charge. That means for every mob you defeat, you have a little less than 1/3 of a chance to get a charge back instantly. That is insane, and to this point, as I'm cruising through the different Ultimate Vault Hunter ranks, I have yet to find a rep kit that's better. While not build defining, this is a life-saving option, and whether you're still progressing or trying to push further into Ultimate Vault Hunter, this is a piece of gear everyone, and I do mean everyone, needs to farm for. So there you have it, 10 impactful legendaries you can get in Borderlands 4. As always, if you appreciate the work we put into our content and you want more Borderlands 4 in your feed, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, and consider subscribing. Don't forget, you can also join our community of over 15,000 members on Discord. Be the first to learn about new Legacy Gaming content, talk about new games, and share tips and tricks with other Vault Hunters just like you. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.